Houston, we have a problem. It has been a long day. And first of all, I'm thanking y'all because unintended, intended or unintended, you all are providing me with content for me to make commentary on. And I thank you for the engagement. Before I get into addressing this, so before I get into addressing this, I want to first say that the commentary I provide is not to downgrade anyone. It is to offer life lessons if I can, because you don't get to be 56 without having gone through some things and hopefully learned some things along the way. In as much as I may choose certain comments or questions to respond to, it may or may not mean I'm directly talking to that person, but it may have sparked something that I want to continue with the conversation. But if there are some things that I think are directed or need to be addressed to the person that writes them, I will do that. Okay, so with that said, excuse my hair's all tangled. This is in response to the plain old Super Bowl incident. Daily, I'm starting to realize we in trouble. We in trouble because some of y'all have zero understanding at all. And when I say understanding, it doesn't mean you have to agree, but some of you really lack understanding. Okay, so this comment here from Tara says that still doesn't, they still didn't follow protocol, talking about the security guards. They followed them out and assaulted them. And you are expecting a 19-year-old to do what compared to an adult? Excuse me. 19-year-old is considered legally an adult. Okay. Do I expect them to have as much knowledge, foresight as a 30-year-old? Absolutely not. As a 30-year-old? Absolutely not. But by 19, they should know how to conduct themselves appropriately. They should know right from wrong. So I write to her, 19 is a legal adult. She writes, saying this is the reason why Black girls in our community is not protected, and this is an issue. Correction is fine, but ridicule isn't. What I think you meant to say, now I understood the gist of what you're saying, but if we're talking about being correct, okay, saying this is the reason why Black girls in our community is not corrected. Well, you meant to say, or should have said, are not protected. Okay, correction is fine, but ridicule isn't. But what I find interesting, many of y'all seem to think that you can dictate how people correct you. The person that's in authority, unless they're doing something illegal, they have a right and a responsibility to correct you the best way that they see necessary. We're not talking about what the security guards did. Obviously, that's wrong. But you who is being corrected, you don't get to tell the person how to correct you. Again, as long as they're not doing anything illegal or immoral, unethical. That is why many of you have problems in the workplace. Because you try to tell your leader how they should be evaluating you, and that's not your place. Thankfully, someone writes, at 19, they should know right from wrong. Absolutely. Then Tria says, at 19, we are all still learning, and they are in their 30s. Big difference. Absolutely. Everybody's responsible for their own conduct. The 30-year-olds are responsible for their conduct, and they have a level of accountability that should be greater. For one, because of their age. Two, for their profession. But that does not absolve those young women from what they were doing. And that is the problem here, because there are far too many excuses y'all making for bad behavior. Far too many. Far too many. And it is apparent to me that, either y'all wasn't paying attention to some of the things your parents are saying, or your parents weren't saying them to you. And or you may need someone like a mentor to reinforce what your parents have instilled in you, because I'm going to go out on a limb and say most of you, your parents, hopefully, have stated there is a certain amount of decorum that you need to have when you go out into the world. I done told you I got arrested when I was 18. I signed up for the military Army Reserve at 19. Those two things are the things that let me know I was truly an adult. Because those are the two things that I got myself into that my mother was not able to get me out of. Why? I was a legal adult. That's why. That's why. We're talking about the fact that the security guards did what they did, but we're not talking about the fact that these girls were drinking illegally. And then because they got called out, they want to ask for refunds for something they shouldn't have been drinking anyway. And going to get belligerent. That's a gamble and you lost. That's a gamble and you lost. So I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned. Again, there are some people in my age group that are not accountable. It's everybody else's fault. But what I am seeing largely are millennials and zennials have no sense of accountability whatsoever. Again, no conflict resolution, no critical thinking. Everything is emotional. Everything is reactive. And then you want to make excuses for your bad behavior when you get either called out on it, you get your ass beat, or you go to work, or you go to jail. Never thinking about what could I have done differently. And when you think about what you could have done differently, it doesn't mean that the other person or the other situation, that they don't have a responsibility too. It means that you're looking at what you could have done differently. Y'all don't get that. But again, I thank you for your engagement. I'm going to encourage all of you, because one of the things that's disheartening is I understand this platform, you can only use a certain number of characters. But what is painfully obvious to me, some of y'all weren't paying attention in class. Your grammar is atrocious. Your spelling is atrocious. Your subject verb atrocious. Your vocabulary is atrocious. You might want to consider reading a book. You might want to consider reading something other than this. Okay? Because see, based on some of the things you all are writing and saying is very foolish. And I don't know who said it. I don't know if it was Abraham Lincoln. I don't know if it's Mark Twain. I don't know, because it's varying stories as to who said it. But the gist of it is this. It's better to be thought a fool and remain silent than to speak and remove all doubt. Let me turn around a little bit. It's better to be thought a fool and type nothing than to type and remove all doubt. Take that with you.